Guys, what's up? Merry Christmas. I'm driving to get my kids again, so I figured I'd make a little video here and give you guys a couple little tips on what I do over the winter time to not go crazy. A lot of people have been asking me what I do in the winter time because, like, you know, once the water freezes, you can't really do nothing. You're just sitting at home waiting for April to come or March, whatever, when the water thaws, so we can get back out there and start fishing again. So I'm gonna go over a couple things that I do that'll help you get through the winter. First of all, I hope you guys have a really good Christmas, man. I hope you get some good stuff and have a happy new year. I probably won't see you before then. Hopefully you guys have a good Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody, first of all. Second of all, the video that I put up last that was live on the water when it was cold out, the sound quality on it was awful. You couldn't hear anything I said. As soon as my face turned away, it was hard to, and I wish I would have known that. You know, I know a couple of you guys told me that and I made a joke about it, but it definitely was hard to hear. So what I did was I got a wireless microphone now, so I'm using it right now, so hopefully you guys can hear a lot better. And now it'll make it much easier next year when I go live that you can actually hear what I'm saying, even if I'm, you know, 10 or 20 feet from the boat. So should be good. First thing that I do over the winter months is I bring all my rods and reels inside from off the boat. And I clean them real good. I take the reels apart. I can do a video for that if you guys need to learn how to clean your reels, but there's a million of them out on YouTube that'll kind of tell you how to clean your reels real good. What I normally do is just, you know, I got a bunch of them, so I just take it one at a time, and it kind of, over the span of a long period of time, I'll get them all clean, but I take them completely apart. I clean everything on the inside with alcohol, get all the dirt and everything out with Q-tips, and then I'll use I use some oil on the moving parts, like the ball bearings, and then I'll use oil on the main shaft up front, in front of the reel. I think it's called a worm gear. And then I use grease for everything else. You'll notice when you take the reel apart where there's grease and where there's oil. So just, you know, whatever works for you best. I don't think that really matters all that much. Other people will tell you that it does. So if you want to just find a video on YouTube that tells you how to clean it, you can do that. But that's one of the biggest things that I do, is clean my reels. The second thing that I do over the winter is during the fishing season, I try to pay attention to how efficient that everything is on my boat for me to use. Some things, when I built it from the start, I've changed since then. I basically want to have everything in hand's reach and as easily accessible as I can get it, especially like your wiring and your electronics. You want to know how all that works, because if you have a problem when you're on the water, you're not going to know how to fix it, you know, and then you're screwed. Your whole day is messed up because you don't have electronics anymore, or say your live well pump goes out, and then you're screwed. So knowing where that stuff is pretty key. So I try to utilize every bit of space that I have for the best possible scenario that I can get. So there's no other time to start messing with that than there is in the winter, because you have nothing else to do. So for instance, this year I wasn't able to access my batteries as easily as I would like to, so I'm gonna take the whole back deck out and kind of redo it, and make a hinge for the very back of the boat. That way I can just lift it up and push it, you know, close it back up when I need to access those batteries. All my batteries are brand new this year. They lasted like 5 or 6 years, so I just took all those out and replaced them. So I shouldn't have any issues, but, you know, if you have to get in there to, you know, your onboard charger breaks, or you have a short somewhere or you have a fuse that needs to be changed, most of that stuff is in the back by the battery. So it's definitely much easier if you can access that. Another thing that I wanted to do this year is I have a few cracks in my hull. You know, the boat's pretty old, so I guess wear and tear from trailering the boat and the motor bouncing around. I got a few cracks, so I'm going to get those welded. I'm actually supposed to get that done this weekend. So that's another thing you can do in the wintertime. The third thing that I do is I watch as much fishing videos as I can. A lot of them that I lost, I didn't have enough time to watch, you know, this summer because I was too busy out fishing and not paying attention to what was on, as far as how-to videos and stuff like that. And like I told you before, Bass University is probably one of my favorite because it's straight and to the point and tells you exactly what you want to know. And there's a log of videos on there that are as long as possible. I mean, you can find anything that you want. Right now, if you guys want to try it out for a month, I just heard on their podcast yesterday that they have a free 30-day subscription right now. So if you go to Bass University and you want to sign up for 30 days free, use the coupon code BULive30, and that'll give you a free 30 days. Again, that's BULive30. You'll get 30 days free, so you guys can actually see like why I promote that, because it is one of the best channels there are as far as fishing videos, and you can learn a tremendous amount. Otherwise, you know, stuff that you normally wouldn't learn. Some of it you may already know, but it makes it easier when you have everything right at the click of a button. You can access anything from learning your electronics to any kind of bait specific technique or grass fishing. Anything you need to know is right on there. So that's a good thing for you guys to do if you're looking to watch some videos over the wintertime. Another thing that I also do is I try to go through all my tackle and see what I don't have for the following year that I'm going to need. I usually only, you know, refill stuff like my line, how much line I'm going to use, what pound test I'm going to use, what baits I'm going to use early in the spring, so that way when spring comes I don't have to worry about going out and getting it because I already have it. So that's another thing that I do a lot is make sure that my tackle is prepared for the next year. Also, real quick, going off the subject, a lot of guys have been asking me about transducers lately. There have been a bunch of you that went out and bought Lowrance units this year, which you can't go wrong. You're going to be happy regardless. It's a great unit. It does what you need it to do, and it's extremely clear. And the price is hard to beat for having that kind of electronics. So what I do is for my transducers, on the back I use a Total Scan transducer, which is a 3-in-1 that's compatible with the first series of Lowrance TI. It'll work with the TI2 as well, but there's another transducer that came out for the TI2 and the HDS that is, I forget what it's called, but what is it? It's I don't remember. I don't remember what it's called, but the newest transducer is also a 3-in-1, but it has a new feature in it that is the same as Mega Imaging for Humminbird. So you get a clearer image, greater resolution, and an all-around better picture. I think it's a little bit faster too. So with that being said, with my my 3-in-1, I don't really find a need to have to upgrade to a TI2 in order to go to that transducer because my screen is crystal clear. I can see everything I need to see. I can tell what it is. I don't need to see any better than that. So I just stick with the Total Scan transducer on the back. Now that's because I use side scan mainly on the back. If you're going to use the total scan up front, that's perfectly fine. You'll have to find some kind of adapter or build one to where you can fit it on the front trolling motor. But the one I use up front is the HDI transducer. It's the 83455 frequency. The 83200 is basically the same thing, except you can go into depths of like 1,000 foot with that one, which I don't need for the type of fishing that I do. I'm never fishing deeper than 40 foot, and even fishing 40 foot is rare. So I don't need something that goes that deep. But so those are the two that I run. The reason why I don't run the total scan up front is because the HDI is half the cost, and I don't need side scan. So the only reason that I would want to put that transducer up front is to run side scan. Now, if you're running one unit for the back and the front, then I would definitely go with the total scan, so you have the accessibility to get to the side scan capability. I don't need it because up front you can't use side scan unless you're running 4 or 5 miles an hour or faster, and your trolling motor is simply not going to do 4 or 5 miles an hour. And you're also turning the head of the trolling motor a lot, so you're going to get interference that way. You're not going to get a clear image, and it's just not very usable for the front trolling motor. So again, I use the total scan in the back and the HDI up front. So hopefully that answers some of your questions about that. You really can't go wrong with, if you do use the total scan up front, you can't go wrong. You just, you don't really need the side imaging, so I didn't see the purpose in spending the extra money for that when I'm not going to use it. So that's why I went with the transducers that I did. Hopefully you guys find the Lowrance as good as I do. It's super user friendly. But anyway, back to some stuff that I do in the wintertime. I mean, I really just do everything I basically can to prepare for the next year. Another thing that I do a lot is I'll change my lower unit oil in my motor. It's really simple to do. Anyone can do it. I change the oil in my motor. I usually do that twice a year because I run my motor, probably 20 hours a week, if not more. So I change my oil in my motor. I did change my impeller this year, which hasn't been changed since the motor was bought. And honestly, I probably didn't even have to change it. I mean, I wanted to because the motor's getting old, but I mean, the impeller that I pulled out of there looked brand new, just as good as the new one I was putting in. So at least now I have peace of mind that's changed. If you have any motor work that needs to be done, get that out of the way now. A lot of this stuff you can do by yourself. You don't have to pay the unnecessary money to have a mechanic do it. It's really simple. Everything on that motor I've done myself, and it couldn't have gotten any easier. So if you have any kind of mechanical ability, you'll be able to do any of that yourself. Another thing that I would do, like I said, is make sure that everything on your boat is easily accessible. Your net, use as much storage as you can. Try to build some kind of storage. On my boat, I have all my storage is underneath the front deck. So in order to get to it, I built a hinge that I'm lifting up, and then I can get underneath the front deck and store whatever I have to up there. If I would have done it again, I probably would have inserted some kind of hinges with drawers up front, so that I could get access to the bottom a lot easier. Because now I'm running into the issue where I have a small hole in the front of the boat that I've tried everything on it. JB Weld, that rubber shit. I've used everything you can think of, and nothing seems to work. So I'm having that welded this weekend as well. But it's hard for me to get into the inside of the underneath of the boat where the hole is, because it's so far up front that it's hard for me to reach. So I'm just gonna have to weld it from the bottom. Another thing that I would do is make sure that all your line on your reels is coming off and you're putting fresh line on. It gets expensive, but if you use backing, it's really not that bad. Let me think. What else do I do? I sit around and I twiddle my thumbs a little bit. Um, I fart a lot. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I watch fishing videos. Yeah, I think I told you that already though. So fishing videos is definitely one of the biggest things I do in the wintertime. How many times have I said the wintertime? Anytime. Anyway. Jesus, man. But anyway, you get the point. Just kind of stick to your fishing. Clean your reels up. Make sure they're all, if they need to be fixed, you're fixing whatever parts, ordering the parts that they need. Make sure your line's fresh. Clean your rods up. You can just take some alcohol and put it on a rag and kind of rub your guides down and everything else so you're not getting dirt and all that stuff in there, and it's ready for the following year. What else do I do? I think that covers about it, man. I mean, winter sucks. I just stopped fishing a couple weeks ago, probably like a week ago now. I normally wait until my key to stop fishing is once that water is like in the low 40s to high 30s and I get skunked. After that, I'm done for the year. So I went up until recently, a couple days ago, before I got skunked, and then I said to hell with it. I'm done with it. Give me a fresh mind for next year. Let me regroup. Think about some of the things that happened this year and some stuff I can do better. And just really think about, some stuff I can do, like maybe different techniques I want to try, and I'll look them up and see exactly how it's done. And then I could really still get out on the water now to practice some of those things. I mean, even if you're in freezing cold water, you can still catch fish, but if you're not doing so hot, you can always go practice skipping under trees or, just practice something. You don't even have to be out there catching fish. It's just nice to be out there, because pretty soon here, we're not going to be able to be on it at all unless you're sitting on a bucket waiting for something to bite your minnow. So, I mean, with that being said, I hope you guys can find something to get through the winter. I'm sure as hell I'm waiting for this weather to pass, even though it just started, so we can get back out there again. And I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say and what you do in the wintertime. And hopefully maybe you guys can learn something from this video that'll help you get through the winter. But you guys have a good Christmas, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll try to put some up here and there, and try to, maybe some technique specific stuff, or get out the whiteboard again and start doing some lessons or stuff like that on there. So you guys have a good Christmas and a happy New Year, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.